I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I have a few additions to our agenda. We're adding our zoning administrator, Roger Chasitis, is going to give us the quarterly report. We have Captain Mark Anderson from the Sheriff's Department going to talk with us. Let's see, under information, correspondence for information, we have the Sheriff's report from August, notice of DRB hearings, and there's a Route 30 planning meeting tomorrow afternoon at the community center that they had emailed, but it didn't come through on my email. So it's sort of a late notice, but with that, we'll go right into the main show. And we have our minutes from October 10th and the special meeting on October 17th.
Do you want to do those
separately? Because yes, not all of us were there.
Okay.
Let's do October 10th first.
So I'll move we approve the minutes from October 10th, 2018.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then October 17th, and that was just the three of us.
Right. Hugh wasn't here.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from October 17th.
I'll second it.
Wait a minute.
No, that was where we did the Scott Farm.
Yeah.
Oh, was that where
Yeah.
I think you were not here for that one.
And
that was the special meeting.
I think Hugh was here.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I can't. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll move we approve the minutes from October 17th.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We have warrants 9, 9P, and from the Energy Committee, their first request for payment, number 1.
All right. Well, I'll move that we approve warrants 9,
Who was there?
9P, and Energy Committee number 1.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Under warrants.
Who was at that meeting?
You maybe not this one.
Yeah, you were there.
Oh, I was sick.
Oh, that's right.
I was sick on the 10th, so it's on the 10th that I wasn't there.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Okay.
So we have that cleared up.
So my eye goes towards the 10th.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, towards the 17th.
Okay. Warrants 9, total was $24,024.68. That was going to payroll transfers, our VLCT passive insurance, $13,158, monthly sheriff's bill, fuel for the highway department, health insurance payments, gravel. Those were some of the ones that stood out. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So let's go to our visitors and public comments. And Roger, you are on the list first, so if you'd like to
Sure.
give us a report.
Would you like me to read the report I submitted, or you just want to ask questions about it?
How about, you want to give us a summary? And
Yeah, summary was that it's been very busy. We had 5 applications being reviewed in this quarter, and all of those decisions were pending as of the end of September. Since then, they all have been issued, and you probably have seen them come by. From July 1st through September 30th, I issued the following permits. 1 addition to an accessory structure, 2 porch, 1 single-family mobile home, and 3 decks. We had 1 2-lot subdivision approved. We had 1 conditional use approved for a home occupation, massage therapy, and 1 permit was denied for a 2-lot subdivision that did not meet the district requirements, and that was later appealed to the DRB. And I think the decision was just issued this past week. Just recently we held another hearing for the Friends of the West River Trail for a signed kiosk at Rice Farm Road at the head of the trail. So that is still the decision is still being written up. The town now has 13 properties, short-term rental conditional use permits for, and we have another 2 that I'm looking into. One of the owners agreed to apply for a permit. The other one I still haven't heard from. So that's ongoing. And I started reviewing conditional use permits, as I stated last quarter. The earliest ones were granted in 1979. This quarter I reviewed 3. All are complying with their conditions. There have been approximately 150 conditional use permits granted over the years, so it's going to take a little time to go through them all. I figure if I do about 2 a month, by the end of 5 years, we'll be almost caught up. I do have 2 other quick things that I would like to mention that may be of interest to the board. I would like your permission to suggest some language for the curb cut permit form to make it more definitive that zoning permits are needed for all land development. This one was granted by the board in August, and I stopped by yesterday and found this construction going on with no permitting. I don't think it was clear to the applicant that, even though I sent them a letter, that it was needed. So, with your permission, I'll send you some suggestions.
Revised language, yeah, great.
And one other thing, I was called by some residents about a solar installation happening in town. The abutting, this solar installation happens where this leg of the ladder is the property line. And so the abutting property owner is upset. And this is also in the center of a right-of-way to the property in the background. So I contacted the Vermont League of City and Towns lawyer, Susan Senning, and she advised me that the town has no jurisdiction over this, and recommended that I tell the landowners to get in touch with the Public Service Board about it, which they did, and they just emailed me today and said that the Public Service Board considers it a land dispute and does not want to get involved, which I found pretty remarkable, since they're the ones that granted the permit for this installation. So I recommended to the landowners to get a copy of the permit application and see if it's actually placed where it says it was going to be in the permit as a first step. Because they don't have money to hire lawyers for this, and they just feel they're being unrepresented in this. So this is ongoing. I will keep you informed.
Okay. Good. All right, and the DRB is going to meet on a request in the West
Brattleboro
Village on the 10th of November?
On the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah, second Tuesday.
All right. Right.
Yes,
Saturday, right.
the select board was notified because the town owns an adjoining property.
Right. Okay.
That's on the deck, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. All right. So the curb cut now doesn't, the language in it now does not suggest that it's also a building permit. It's just a,
Correct.
we've been
It's-
pretty much.
It just says that the applicant is responsible for any other permits,
Right.
but it does
Right.
not specify zoning permits or land development, mention land development at
Okay.
all. So I
Right.
thought it may be wise to include some of that language just to raise the awareness of applicants.
Mhm. Okay. I think most applicants, you know, recognize it as, okay, this is for putting in a driveway, but I guess if it's not crystal clear, some may take a liberal interpretation of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, good. Any other?
No,
No, thanks,
it's
Roger.
great, Roger,
So-
awesome.
You know, we're beginning to think about the budget, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts on it, and or the zoning administration office and hours and that sort of thing.
Yes, actually Charlotte provided me a copy of the budget, so we are working on it.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Is there a deadline that you request for that information?
What do we ask the committees to do?
November 1st.
November 1st?
November 1st? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Mhm.
Great. All right, so Captain Anderson, do you want to, well, come right up. Thank you for
What's the best place for me?
coming, Roger. Which is your good side.
Well,
You know, Lee Chamberlain comes in here and oftentimes he's not presenting his best side, it's his backside that is showing. So that was good. All right. So thanks for dropping by.
oh, my pleasure. Sheriff Clark apologizes he can't be here. He's currently down at the Naval Criminal Investigative Services Academy teaching a class, so that's why he's absent. I don't know if the board had anything that they were inquiring from him. However, we have prepared our next year's rates. We know the budget season's coming up. So those, if you have not already received it, it should be coming within the next week. You should have it before November 1st.
Okay.
On the surface, the rates that Dummerston has paid have not changed. The only thing that has kind of changed is if the town were to increase its budget, there's a possible discount that you would get for the hourly rate. But it's significant to what the town currently does, so I don't think that we need to discuss that unless you'd be interested. But
So you said if we increase the number of hours that we're asking for, there would be a discount in the overall rate?
Correct.
Okay.
So what would that, what we're at, is it 20 hours?
We've gone up a little bit, about 20.
20, and then seasonally adjusted during when school gets started, we get have budgeted a few more hours. And
So what's the monthly threshold for the reduction?
it would, it's probably more easily explained as weekly.
Okay.
And you'd be looking at roughly, it's close to 40 hours a week.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
that's
So it's a significant
That's-
increase, which is why
a
it's,
full-time person, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
so for us, it's because we can assign a full-time person to the position. It allows us to mitigate other costs and risks,
Right.
so.
So you don't consider someone working maybe in 2 towns and splitting a portion to be,
If we had 2 towns come to us with that, well, for example, we have Putney and Westminster.
yeah.
If they said, you know, we want to combine and we want to do something like that, we would be interested. We've talked about it. Usually, when you get into the weeds of it,
Yeah.
the issue becomes who's getting what service and are we paying for more than we get, and it becomes an issue of management. I think it's manageable, but it would require further conversation to do it. If the town of Dummerston were to partner with another town for something like that, we've discussed it before. It's generally the politics behind it that causes the issue to die.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
Okay. Keep that in the back of our heads as we get into budget season.
And the letter will disclose the rate. It's $40.56 an hour. The current rate is $51 an hour, and again, the current rate has not changed from this past fiscal year to current fiscal year, or upcoming fiscal year, I should say. So not much has changed on the budget side. In terms of what we're doing, I think that we've been responding to the issues in the West Village as well as the East-West Road, Middle Road, at least as much as we've been able. It's been a very busy season for us. So we're starting to recapture our personnel that have been working a lot of overtime. We also just finished signing our agreement with the Governor's Highway Safety Program, which gives us grant funding, which allows us to do occupant protection as well as DUI enforcement. So what's new this year, it's actually kind of exciting for me, we have entered into a regional partnership with Bradford PD, Dover PD, and Bells Falls PD to instead say, okay, each agency does their own independent work. We're now combining resources to say, let's go target the entire community and try and reduce fatal motor vehicle crashes having to do with people failing to wear occupant protection devices or impaired driving, distracted driving, texting and driving. So that's new this year, which gives the possibility that other agencies will be in town enforcing some of the issues that have been happening here in Dummerston, because we can work with these people as a partnership now.
So what does that look like actually in practice, that collaboration?
So we've actually been doing it for many, many years, but usually for only 2 weeks of the year, which is come Memorial Day. So for 2 weeks we have a campaign called Click It or Ticket, and you'll see various agencies move around the entire county just targeting seatbelt enforcement in those areas. It's a nationwide campaign where we try and enforce people wearing their seatbelts. We want people wearing seatbelts. Windham County has a kind of low rate compared to the state, so we're trying to get that better, and it costs nothing to the town. So you guys get free presents, and it's all funded by NHTSA. Did I answer your question?
Well, yeah, so that's that for that one program one time a year, but you're saying you do more of that kind of thing year round now.
So this new program enables us to do that year round.
Uh-huh.
In years past, it was not coordinated,
Uh-huh.
and now it's being coordinated that way.
So with a program like that, you might need more people than one department could spare.
Correct.
Okay.
And so where I might be able to find one guy who can go out and do DUI enforcement tonight, Brat PD might be able to find one person, and Bells Falls might be able to find one person, so we can send 3 people out to have a larger impact on an area than I can have with just one person stopping cars.
That's great.
So
That's good.
that should be the whole culmination of the entire task force is starting to come together now, but we've signed the official paperwork, so the funding's there, we're able to work it. Now we just have to make sure we have the logistics worked out to make sure it works right.
Right.
So that's where we're at with that, but you should start seeing it, especially through the ski season. And that's just in addition to the work we're already providing for the town.
Yeah.
I didn't come prepared with any specific information, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if the board has any.
Just, and I haven't noticed as far as reimbursement from the state, but you know, we had updated our traffic ordinance a while ago for Route 5 and Route 30. So when you guys, if you do have to write violations on those 2 roads, do you write them as a state violation with a local ordinance?
It all goes under the local ordinance. So if it's on
Okay.
a 50-mile-an-hour road, it will be issued under the local basic rule.
Okay.
It's Title 23, Section 1081B.
Okay.
The difference between that and the state violation is nothing more than one code. So sometimes it gets miscoded when it goes to the state. All of our violations we issue in Dummerston are issued under the local basic rule.
Okay.
And part of our supervisory review is if somebody wrote it with the basic rule code, then it gets amended. If you guys see violations issued in Dummerston that are not showing up on your Judicial Bureau report, there's a coding issue.
Okay.
And give us a call, we're happy to look into it. We may have missed one, but we're pretty good at catching that.
Okay. So as you review them, you're looking for that
Yes.
specifically. Okay.
And then in terms of all the municipal roads, you just get it.
Right.
There have been issues over many years with towns and the appropriation of that. We've worked with Dummerston as well as other towns to show a way to work through it. It's not necessarily the way, but to be able to track, these are the violations we've issued, these are the ticket numbers, and then you can take the Judicial Bureau report and say this is what the towns receive funds for.
Okay.
So it's basically a spreadsheet that you just pair the 2 up with.
Right. All right. Yeah, I just hadn't noticed any reimbursements.
Right.
I'm not looking specifically from the state lately.
Our treasurer is here. We gotten anything recently?
I just get a bulk deposit that doesn't split out where the reimbursements are from. So I don't know.
But there's judicial reimbursement, you just see a bulk.
Yeah, it's civil fines. It's
Okay.
coded as civil fines.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I mean, we did have a much bigger one last month than we've gotten, but it tends to vary from month to month, and I think the backlog is so far that we could be getting paid for tickets that were issued a year ago if they went to court and stuff like that.
And so sometimes the backlog, there's 2 pieces here. Backlog is one piece, which is typically 3 to 6 months. before some tickets are paid. And that's just because a person contests it. It takes about 3 months for a court hearing to be scheduled and for that to happen. And then they have about another month on top of that. Assuming that they pay it, then the time to process and ultimately issue. So 3 to 6 months is a fairly reasonable time frame to get it, assuming someone pays a ticket. There's a lot of people who don't pay tickets, and so you'll even see fines being paid 2, 3, 4 years later. They went to collections, and eventually the state is able to collect. So the Judicial Bureau, if you have someone who wants to kind of perform, audit's the wrong word, but essentially audit what is being paid versus what hasn't been paid, the Judicial Bureau issues a report that's available online for the town of Dummerston specifically, saying this is what we paid you, this is the ticket number that was paid, this is the amount that was paid. So if there's a partial payment on a ticket, a person could pay a $25 minimum a month towards, say, a $300 violation. They might say, well, you get $2. And then the next month you get $14, and the next month you get $30, and until that fine's paid. So I could pass that information along of where to find that report.
Sure.
If you want to let me know just who, should I give it to Hugh?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Sure.
That'd be
Perfect. I just have to get the link. It's on my computer. I can't find it on my phone.
Yeah, that's good.
Great.
And then, and I know we talked a while ago about when school started, or I had some calls from down here in the Hollow,
Yes.
and I know you guys went and focused on that for a little while, and I hadn't heard anything back, so I guess it seemed to work out. But school zones, you guys noticing any? I guess is everything going well down in the school area, in the Hollow area, as far as the kids and speeding? That seems to be.
To the best of my knowledge, yes, with some deviation of there's always going to be an issue there because you're stepping down from the 35 on East West Road to the 25 on Schoolhouse Road, and most people don't slow down in the Hollow until there's a directed enforcement action. So we can gain compliance and some level of control. You're always going to have the one-offs that'll come through, but then you're going to have the people who they don't normally come this way and they're just hauling anyways. So there's always going to be that issue, and we continue to monitor that. We've heard nothing from the school to suggest that there's an issue otherwise. We're continuing enforcement through that area, and we come across things from time to time, but it's definitely an area that's in our focus.
Okay. How about, I know you would think we talked, and I think I saw it up in the new thing where you have that automated speed.
Yes.
Does that track like trends? Is that what
Yes.
you can do with that?
So we have two, we call them smart cards. They're radar cards. They have a logging feature in them. We use it primarily, and actually I shouldn't say primarily, we only use it for statistical data.
Okay.
We don't use it for enforcement data. We don't mail fines when somebody goes past the sign too fast or something like that. But it allows us as an agency, two things. One is when we should focus enforcement efforts so we can use the town's money responsibly while targeting the issue at hand. Two, it allows us to be able to do traffic studies with them. So if the town said we need to do a traffic study, similarly you could go to Windham Regional and ask for the counter boxes. Same concept, it does the same data processing. So when we do that, we'll set the sign up, but it actually won't put the display on. It'll just look like it's turned off and the battery's dead. The counter's working. We don't want to have the driver have a response to the smart cart and have them change their speed because of that. We want to try and get as true of an issue of what the normal flow of traffic is. So those we offer free to the towns. We take them off the road come winter time. So we're pretty much there. I saw Salt Trick today, so that's usually the sign that we say, okay, they're off the road. Because one year we had a snowplow hit them. They're expensive. They run about $7,000 to $10,000. So they come off for the winter time, but we start to get them out in the spring. We take requests from the community, so if somebody just calls our office and says, we'd really like that radar car out, we send it there, we build a list and just start moving them around. If nobody calls us, then we just say, okay, what makes sense to us? Certainly if a board calls us, then we'll move it to wherever it needs to be used for the purpose of a study, or even if it's not a study, we can just say, hey, what speed actually on, say, East-West Road? There are some limitations with the signs. They require a certain distance to be able to capture. They are battery powered, and while they have solar panels on them, shade can be in effect, and the solar panels just are not large enough to be able to fully charge the battery, so it prolongs, it doesn't infinitely run. So we usually try to find a location where a person, usually a resident who's concerned about the speed and in the area of their home, kind of keep an eye on it, and if it dies, they'll either run an extension cord to it to charge it, or they'll say, hey, it's dead, you can come pick it up, and either works for us.
Okay.
So we try to be pretty flexible with them. We think they're a great tool, and they do a lot for bringing awareness to it, though there is a diminishing factor the longer it's out there.
Right.
People become desensitized to it. So we try to keep it, about a week is when we usually pull it, and then we start with enforcement after the week. We figured people know that the cart's there by then, and well, now deputy will be there afterwards, and surprise. If they haven't figured out that it's an issue there, then we'll have a conversation.
But I appreciate it. Every time I've emailed you guys, it's a real quick turnaround. So I've only been kind of liaisoning here for a short time, but I appreciate your, you guys get back very quickly, and we tend to get things taken care of. So I appreciate that.
And I mean, really, I've always enjoyed the conversations with Dummerston Select Board, because the communication's been great. With you, it's been great, and with your predecessor, it was always great. So even when there were issues, we were able to solve it. So it's one of the things I've enjoyed with this board, is it's easy to communicate. So thank you, and
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's
Thanks,
working.
Brian.
Thank you very much for coming by.
Thanks.
Would you like me to stick around for the report? I think you mentioned there was a report.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Okay,
It's
no, we're
pretty
good.
self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Yeah,
Take care.
good, thanks. Now, let's see. Well, we do have some members of the public here. And we could, with your permission, deal with the parts of the agenda that they are most concerned about, I think.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Everyone okay with that? Okay, and shall we flip a coin to see?
Yeah, just go ahead and do the.
All right, okay, so let's do the update on the school playing fields. Do you want to come up, or do you want to stay back there?
I didn't realize Charlotte was a member of the public today, so I thought you were seeing double or something.
Well,
That time of year.
yeah. So we did get a copy, a sample lease from Michael McGillian.
Right, and then we had forwarded the deed that he had made the changes that the select board had requested from our meeting in August.
Okay.
Did you not receive that?
Is there a map in there, though, or does it show the boundaries of
I don't think so.
And then the sort of the sample lease was very thorough. It seemed.
It's more thorough, according to Michael, than it needs to be, and he could cut some of the things
Yeah.
out that wouldn't apply.
Right.
But-
There's a section on hotels, inns,
Yes.
hotels, and
Yes.
a sort of office space that probably.
Could be deleted.
Probably. Yeah.
So did you not get the updated deed that he sent? That was
This-
2 weeks before. that he
Yes,
sent
I
it.
think we did get a deed.
Is
But
that
there
the
was
one
no-
when Jody was here a couple weeks ago?
But there was no map.
Yeah,
No.
right.
Right.
A deed, but no map.
Right, it I think that one outlined like the conditions of, like the
Right.
easements and things like that, but we still didn't have a descriptor, a map. It didn't show us what
Okay.
property we were looking at getting.
All right, I'll check with Michael on that. because I don't know what the state of the map is,
Okay.
I think.
There may not be a map unless it's
It may
been
just
surveyed.
be.
I think,
Had it
but
been?
I think he has to have a survey done to get the map.
Yeah.
I think, I'm trying to think back a month now to when we had the conversation, and I think that there is.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
Yeah.
I mean, most deeds only have meets and bounds. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
a physical description that half the time is no longer relevant because that tree's been torn
Yes.
down or the wall's been removed or.
Right.
So,
I think a description of the, 300 feet from the building on the west side and going to the tree line.
I
Or,
don't think we I don't remember reading that kind of detail on as far as the description of the property. I know it was like the property that was from a deed from another, whoever they got it from
and then
initially.
there were some comments about that, and then excluding the right of way for the septic
Right.
and the wells
Yep.
and things like that.
Okay,
now
so
that I'm
I think this was the latest one that we got, and it does refer to the deed of John L. Williams dated 1965 and recorded in said conveyance, specifically reserving a grant to the grantor an easement in and to the wells and septic system serving the Dummerston School. So this sort of was a updated version. If you were to go and maybe go through the deeds and you might be able to figure out
Yeah,
what this
so,
is talking about.
So I'm not going to go read the deed from
Yeah.
that guy, so I would prefer to, at least, even if it's a sketch for my own understanding,
Okay.
just to see what the property is that you're looking at. Because you're right, the oak tree's probably gone and
Yeah.
I think he said it was actually better than that when he looked at it. He was actually surprised that there were things that he thought were still there. So
Okay.
he was reasonably happy, and he thought, if we had to go get a survey, it would be doable.
Right. Okay.
So the next step for the board would be to walk it off, sketch it out, come up with our own description, pay for a survey.
I would just like to see a sketch at least.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back and read
Google
that guy's
Earth
deed.
map where you take a
Oh,
magic
sounds
marker
fun.
and draw.
Yeah.
that we can
Draw
do.
it.
As long as
Excellent.
that, saves me from going back there and trying to
Yeah.
find his deed and
Yeah.
Okay,
searching it out.
that's easy enough,
Yeah.
because Michael was pretty clear where it was, having looked up the deeds.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that
Yeah.
seems quite doable.
And then for me, it seems like cut that down with the hotel and all that stuff.
So have him
Yeah.
trim it.
And then I'd like to see, here's our proposed final cut, and
Okay.
I
then we'll go
agree.
from there.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause-
not just a sample.
Right.
Yeah.
He said that at the meeting last night. I said lots of people like to see more work from attorneys, so maybe they'll be happy with all that hotel stuff in there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like you're getting more for your money, which is nothing.
Well.
So,
Maybe he thought we weren't going to read it.
no. He was very clear, like he hadn't taken that stuff out.
Right,
So,
okay.
so in the next week or so, I'll get you a sketch, a trimmed down lease with the extraneous materials out of there.
Mhm.
So at the next meeting,
Yeah, I'd like
we'll probably
if
have
you
everything. We're
send
only
us.
taking out from that lease, by the way. I mean, he's not going to add.
Yeah, for me, I think if you send us the one that you would like, hey, this is where we're hoping you guys are gonna
Yep.
give us the $10 and sign.
Yep.
And then, but if, Zeke doesn't have the $10 or we wanna scratch something out, we'll send it back. But I think we're really down to the final draft
Okay, great.
version.
Mhm.
Great. Easy enough.
Right. So, of course, reading the news that the state would like to force a merger.
Well, that's a provisional vote.
Okay. And?
Their final plan is due November 30th.
Okay. So if they do a merger, then the Dummerston School Board would disappear, right?
Yes, we would cease to exist.
Okay. And so the language of the lease says we'd be making this agreement with the Dummerston School,
Mm-hmm.
right? So would that be the principal or who would that be?
That's a really good
That's a
question.
really good question. Well, the Dummerston School will
points
still
for that
exist,
one.
so then it would be the unified board,
Okay.
because that would be our successor.
Okay, so with
Our
the
assigned
unified board,
successor.
I mean, the whole purpose of this is to
Yeah.
Right.
give
Yes.
Dummerston residents and school children first dibs on these fields. So if we turn it over to the unified school
What's the
district.
difference?
Well, we're in existence till the end of June.
Yeah, okay, so after
the-
June.
After June, the agreement is between the unified board, but you all own the land.
Right,
So the lease terms over time would change, so they couldn't put another school on closed field.
right.
But would the unified board just assume the tenant responsibilities?
Yes, yeah.
But how does that protect Dummerston's interest? I thought the whole point of this was to protect Dummerston's interests.
Because the lease, they're only a tenant. The Dummerston board still owns.
I know, but we
on
don't
the
want
deed.
any responsibility for decisions made, you know,
Yeah.
about who's playing on the field or who gets first dibs, or we don't want any of that responsibility.
Right, but I think the understanding would be that over time, you could transfer it to the recreation board, which is what we talked about, the long-term goal, so that they could be the
Over time, we would transfer what?
field's ownership. Our hope was to do it, to transfer to a rec board and have them manage it. But in the meanwhile, we don't really have an active, particularly rec board that could do this transfer, so.
So then the town would be responsible cost-wise for maintenance?
No, the lease has the school itself is responsible for the lease. So the principal would sign that and the unified board would have to approve it. And the principal would be determining field use. I don't know what's gonna happen in the unified board.
Does the principal want to be the one who's scheduling?
She always has been,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Good.
you go
Great.
into her, you
All
have
right.
to, hat in hand, ask for field use permission.
Mhm.
So what if the unified board just didn't want to, they're like, okay, well, you guys did that, so we're just gonna wash our hands of it. And you
It's
guys
your problem.
take the fields
Right.
and we don't want anything to do with it.
Guilford's doing this with their property, Putney's doing it with their forest, so 3/4 of the unified board is doing the same thing, so it would be surprising if,
Well, they're doing it, but we don't yet know what the unified board's
is
gonna
gonna
do.
do. No, we don't know anything what the unified board is gonna do.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
And
there's,
As far as surprises go, isn't
Yes.
this whole thing a surprise? I mean, that the towns voted against merging and the state is,
the
Yeah.
state is, yes.
I'm
yeah.
surprised.
I'm surprised.
So I,
Our legislators are quite surprised.
yeah, so why would,
Who knows? I mean, you
Yeah.
really have to hope that cooler heads prevail in a situation like this, where there's no guarantee against anything. I mean, they could eminent domain it tomorrow, but I think explaining the intent, as Putney has explained the intent with their forest, and Guilford has explained the intent with their forest, makes 3 of the 4 districts holding on to land under their town municipalities.
Yeah, so that's fine with the forested thing, but see, Mike, go all the way back to what my concern was that those fields need to be available for students to play sports on.
Absolutely.
So,
You and I have this, we're in vehement agreement.
Yeah.
And
So-
who's gonna
well, that's what I'm wanting, so,
watch out for that?
right.
Yeah, there's nothing
Oh.
I can do to assure, except that the town could then say, no, you don't keep the lease, the terms of the lease are this, and you're changing the terms, so we're gonna rent the fields out to the rec board instead. And the rec board would then assign it, because that's a town
but
municipality.
this lease doesn't specify what they're going to do with the field. It says who's gonna pay the insurance and who's gonna be responsible for maintenance, but it doesn't have anything about who's going to use it. We're just making an agreement with the school. We're leasing it back to this, it says, you know,
Okay.
the Dummerston School.
What
So-
if the unified board decides that all athletics are to be played on a field in Guilford?
That would be, I mean,
Or Brattleboro, they have, you know, and that the Dummerston teams will be now playing in Brattleboro.
Nice to have a soundtrack.
rather than pay for the upkeep of our fields,
Right.
Well, like,
they don't have enough fields in Brattleboro.
Yeah.
They don't have enough fields in Putney, they don't have enough fields in Guilford, so I don't know where else.
so if the rec board owns this, then would the school have to go to the rec board to ask permission to use the baseball field?
Right now, we don't even know who's on the rec board. The last time we actually spoke with the rec board, was a couple of years ago.
That's why we are not transferring it to the
Yeah.
rec board. That was our either, finding a nonprofit or finding a
Yeah.
rec board long-term
Mhm.
to manage that and manage that lease. So I think there's 2 thoughts. One is I can't imagine a scenario, frankly, given the cost of flat land around here and given the fact they spent how much, like with the field
I
on
think it
Route
was
30?
a gazillion dollars.
A gazillion dollars on that field that they're not gonna wanna pay for the upkeep to have
Yeah.
access for sports teams
Mhm.
on our fields.
Sure.
And so maybe something happens in 20 years that they have found a way to turn hilly land into flat fields, you know,
Or-
with technology, with nanotechnology or
Yeah,
something.
or a soccer ball that doesn't roll down.
Roll downhill, anti-gravity devices, who knows, but the ownership still is with the Dummerston board. The Dummerston board can choose to sell it. The Dummerston Selectboard can do whatever they want with it at that point to ensure it's preserved for whatever is in the best interest of Dummerston residents.
It also seems to me that the principal is going to be an important player in this, and it's in the principal's best interest to, you know, keep the fields, you know, the priority of who plays on it in.
There has been long-standing policy that it is the middle school has priority on the fields, and then everything shakes down from
Yeah.
there as to kind of first come, first served basis, and then town residents, and then if there's somebody who's paying upkeep, they may go up a little bit ahead. I don't know how that works in her mind, but I know there's a certain pecking order that you can't have something else go on in the fields when the school sports teams are playing.
So
So-
if the school board ceases to exist, who's going to hire the next principal?
If that would be the unified, well, the superintendent technically hires the principal no matter what.
No matter what, okay.
So
Okay.
it would be the superintendent, but the unified board would approve that
Okay,
hiring.
yes.
I guess by the town actually owning the land, it just gives back, you know, if things are not going the way the local people want, they can come to the school board and say, would you please
Well, the school board
do
doesn't
something, you know,
exist
give
anymore.
it to the rec board, you know. We're in control ultimately.
Yes,
Okay.
that they can't put a building there that houses equipment, because they can use it for any educational purpose they want once it belongs to the unified union. So they
Right.
could decide that there's some other facility that maybe people don't want to have right on Route 5 on beautiful flat land.
So it protects it from being changed.
Being changed, the use being changed. I think that's the most important thing that is kept as fields. It makes sense to keep it as fields for Dummerston and for other, scheduling around, and how that policy plays out, I won't have control over in the unified.
So I think that's the most important thing for us to understand, is that it's there could be some things that would happen that,
Right.
that we wouldn't be very pleased about, or we might not choose, but it's just that ultimate control that we have. So, how
Yes.
this all works out.
Right, at the end of the day.
At the end of the
land
day.
belongs to the town of
Exactly.
Dummerston. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
you
good.
hit the nail on the head.
Yes, I think that's
I
the,
have not articulated it well enough along the way, thank you.
but there are all of these other
Well, because we get
interesting
lost in the
sidelines.
weeds of
Yeah.
how we want it done.
Yeah, see, at the end of the day, for me, it's that, and I'm really thinking only about the baseball field. That baseball field is available for students who are in this, whatever
Then you need to-
district it is, whether it's the
You
Dummerston
need to join
district
the
or a
rec board.
unified district, that field's available for them. So, first of all, I don't share your fear of someone coming and building something on that. I just don't think it's practical that's gonna happen, but, with this, kind of the decline in sports and things, if we own this and then this unified board, there's no middle school baseball team, they just may be like, well, you guys own it, so we're not gonna take care of that field. So then we're gonna be the ones
Taking care of it.
taking care of that field. And I know it's a larger piece of land, but I'm really thinking more of the middle school baseball field in particular.
Yeah, I mean, there's no decline in sports in Dummerston. So, I mean, the baseball team was undefeated last year. We had good participation. We have soccer teams. I know you're baseball focused, but our you know, soccer team is alive and well and straight. It's extended from what it was when my kids started. There's kindergarten soccer now, which my kids didn't have. So I think the story of Dummerston School sports demise is not the data that I'm feeling. And I think if anything, it would allow, and we are bringing kids in from other towns. We've been doing that for years.
We've been doing that for a long time.
For a long time, right. And so, you know, hey, it will, I mean, sometimes it gets to be too large in the team if you want one mother's opinion, but, you know, giving other kids who don't have those opportunities in their towns to play. So I think that spirit of cooperation would extend to, hey, yeah, we don't have a game, we don't have a practice. Absolutely. That's how Joe Carroll's always done it. And that's how we are in Dummerston. So I don't think it's a question of keeping somebody as a question of maybe they decide they don't want baseball. And that would be a unified board decision to change it to something else. Not a Dummerston decision if we don't own the land.
And so, I mean, I think, Hugh, that people like you will get involved if things don't go the way you feel they should. And being the owners, we would have that right to to shift the tenant to someone else. You know, like the rec board.
Right. Although this is, right now, it's a 10-year lease.
Is it?
Yeah.
So is there additional restrictions you want placed on the lease? Is that what you're suggesting, or just thinking?
I'm not suggesting that. No. No.
Yeah, I'm just ready to, when we get the final, you know, document that you want to send us, then I will go from there myself.
Yeah, this has been a good conversation, though. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I like getting in the weeds every once in a while. That was good. Yeah.
No, don't say weeds when you talk about Clothes Field. If I learned one thing from that, you don't, there's no weeds out there.
No, absolutely not. Of course not.
All right, thank you. I'll get that to you in the next week then.
Okay,
So,
thanks
for looking at it. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for the work you've been doing.
Yeah.
Well. Okay. Let's see. I think Charlotte is here because she'd like to
Oh, yeah.
see the audit.
Where's the letter opener?
I think you pulled the string.
Okay.
So, with your consent, we'll go ahead and open the audit proposals. Yes? Yep, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
We ready?
Yes, a drum roll. Get your phone to make some music.
No,
again.
I shut it off.
Okay. The envelope. And that one. Whoa.
How many did we receive?
Two.
Oh, just two.
Okay, statement. This is from R.H.R. Smith and Company of Old Orchard Beach, Maine. Cost proposal, page 20.
So this was sent to, we have a whole list of the people that it was sent to.
Yes.
Sent to quite a few people.
I think we just received two.
Just recently, yeah, so I think all that matters is what we received.
Yeah.
Our listeners might be interested in that was sent to 1, 2, 3,
Oh, here we go.
5, 6, 7 people.
All right, so here, R.H.R. Smith and Company has a audit price that will not exceed $5,500.
What about
Let me
yours?
just pass it on.
Because the one in
make sure
2013
someone.
cost just under 12 or right around 12,000.
So there's that one.
Okay, and then Sullivan, Powers and Company from Montpelier is saying they would be able to do this, and their price is $14,500.
Well, that's a big difference.
Right.
So will we be giving these to Charlotte and then she'll look through them and give us a, I mean, there must be a comparison of actually what they're gonna do.
Yes, there is. That's what the, yes, the number of people they'll have, the firm profile.
Our price includes travel and all out-of-pocket expenses related to the audit and all client communications related to the audit.
Okay, so we are going to, here's the 24th. We have a meeting on the 7th. We have to choose one of these to take to the voters. Well, for the meeting on the 14th, which will be a special town meeting, to vote on whether we should have an audit. We had, in the morning, put something not to exceed
right.
20,000.
Right.
And so we would then amend the, that amount to one of these two items, and that's what we would ask the voters to decide. And so essentially the voters would decide whether to go ahead with the audit or not.
Charlotte, did one of these companies do the audit?
Sullivan Powers did the audit last
Before.
time.
Last time.
They've done a lot in Vermont.
They do a lot.
Corner on the market. in
I
Vermont.
included, there's a listserv MuniNet type email, and yes, and they were listed from several as doing a very good job. There were, the other company wasn't included in that list from the MuniNet. Doesn't mean that they haven't done something, but
How did we get their name? Did we get a recommendation for them?
they're on the they're just.
They're on the
I
list.
googled government audits and they were on there, and along with all these other names. And I learned yesterday at my seminar that VLCT has has a list of approved government auditing firms, but I didn't know about that.
Oh, okay. And
So-
the bond agency, is an agency, is that the correct term? That would,
The bond bank.
bond bank,
Uh-huh.
they're the ones requiring an audit,
Yes.
and this is a wild question, but do you know whether they have, their list of preferred auditors, or?
I don't know.
Yeah.
The lawyer that was he at, I didn't go to that Putney meeting. I didn't know about it when you met with Putney. But I can't, the chair of their select board was saying, you have to have a lawyer who specializes in bond agreements to review it. And I don't know if he would know anything. Was he here at that meeting?
I wasn't at that meeting, so.
Hugh was. You were.
Which one?
When you met with the Putney,
The attorneys and the Putney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the lawyer that reviews the bond agreement, he wasn't here. He was just brought up in the conversation.
He's like a specialty lawyer, no, he does that specifically. I don't remember the details, but no, he's a special guy for the bonds.
So Charlotte, is this supposed to be a list of all the people that received the RFP from us?
All of those people received the RFP except that's from the listserv.
Okay.
That the companies that other Vermont communities have used.
Okay.
And all of those but the very last name. I didn't include a list of everyone I sent it to. I can give it to you.
Oh, okay. Well, I just didn't see these people on this list.
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're not. I guess, I don't know if they haven't been used by people in Vermont that
Okay.
responded to this.
So
question.
I'd be interested in the VLCT list.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
I don't, because I just heard about it yesterday.
Well,
So,
they've got a lot
But I
of
can
Vermont
get it.
towns listed, it's just.
Yeah, but it would be very hard to choose an
Well,
auditor for
right.
$14,000 when we've got one for $5,500. But it makes me nervous
right.
to not choose somebody that's from Vermont who's done a lot of Vermont towns, somebody from Maine. And also, I mean, yeah, I just wouldn't even know how to compare them.
Right, I guess we'd have to read through.
So I'd like to see the list from
And also,
VLCT.
yeah,
There's
that
a,
would be great.
there's a big hour difference, that's the, yeah, these guys only have like 19 hours for their senior accountants, where they have like 68 hours. So there's some kind of, there's a huge disparity, it's curious.
Yeah.
But these guys have done a lot of Vermont towns, but I'm wondering if, I think we need more research, but this could mean a lot of work for the people in this office if they want everything sent to them, vice
Yeah.
somebody coming on site, and I don't know, we just need to figure
Right.
it out. That's a big
So
difference.
when Sullivan and, is it Sullivan and Powers?
Yeah,
They came here, they did a very thorough,
right.
And I'm wondering if because they already have a history with us, if that's why it's so much less. In other words, they already know our system.
No,
No,
it's the
no,
other
no.
way
it's
around.
the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I think if it
Yeah,
was.
these guys-
Hours listed.
Well, they don't see, senior accountants 19, partners 5, staff accountants 35, whereas these guys are showing like 68 staff hours, they're showing 35,
Uh-huh.
principal staff 16.
Yeah. And that's another issue to think about, is how much work is it for
Yeah,
you, for this office,
Mhm.
preparing things, and
right, If-
what's the expectation?
Mhm.
right, if they're,
So, yeah, I mean, I'd have to read them carefully. And
Yeah, I haven't looked
know
at them at all.
that's-
so-
Right, well, we just opened.
Yeah, so, I mean, they may have included in there what the office is expected to do,
The
so.
fact that we only got 2 is kind of, that's
we did
not
get
very.
a lot, the last time we sent an RFP for an audit out, as I recall.
I think a lot of companies have people, a lot of towns do it every year.
Right.
So I think a lot of, the man from Sullivan Powers called to ask for a copy of the town report. And he said that they're finishing up with all their August ones, and so they don't have a lot of towns that have a December audit that go on a calendar year versus a fiscal year. So, so they did have time available. But I wonder if maybe other towns, other companies do towns, maybe more towns that are on a calendar year versus the fiscal year or something. I don't know why we only got 2.
So do we have time to seek other?
No, we would have to put the RFP
Start it all
out
over.
again. Yeah, we'd have to start the process over again.
Mhm.
And so I think in the 2 weeks before November 7th, it would be good if we made copies of these or scanned them, or so we could read through them. We check with VLCT about their list, ask some questions there, do a little homework, and so we can decide what we should take to the special town meeting.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think we're in a very good position to choose. But just because of the differential in the price.
Yeah, it is quite a lot.
In the hourly rate, I mean, one
Yeah,
of them,
that's sort
their
of
hourly
like-
rate's $140 more an hour for Sullivan and Powers for their accountants than the other one. They're $100 an hour even. Sullivan and Powers, principal staff, $240 an hour. So I mean, there's a big difference.
We'd need references from the one in Maine if we were gonna go for that.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking, is we
Yeah.
need a strong rationale to go for the one in Maine. to feel confident
Mhm.
that they were gonna do what we need and
Right.
we'd be glad
I
for the
think-
outcome.
If we had a point of contact, or I don't know if we do have a point of contact at the bond bank where we could ask them if they have ever, that's probably more about, you know, do they
Well,
know
I can
these-
email, the man who I've been emailing.
Okay.
Right, but we need a third party to recommend them.
Both the
We need a,
The person at the bond bank would be a fairly good
would they?
reference.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, these guys, they've
Yeah,
done,
it'd be great to
They've
get
done-
it done for $5,500, wouldn't it?
I mean, they've done Vernon,
Yeah,
they've
if
done
they, unless they
Killington.
send
Oh, wait,
someone
they've
like
done
to meet it.
Vernon?
Yep.
Well, I can call around and.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We
Yeah.
just need to build our confidence that we could choose the one that's $5,500. That would be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we get an opinion from the towns, but I think the source is the bond bank. That's really all in the end that matters.
that's,
is
yes, whether they'll
they'll accept it.
Right.
Right.
Yep. So, okay.
So do you
So,
want the,
should I
do you
put 'em
want
back
them
in their
scanned?
envelopes?
I mean, do you want me to scan them and email them to everybody or make hard copies?
I don't want
Scan,
the whole.
scanning is fine.
Most of the pages are references, not really. meat.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll scan and email
Yeah.
the meat
And I'm really interested in what you find out from other sources.
Great.
Do you want
Super.
these?
Yep, I do.
Thank you very much, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Any, okay, good.
Thanks.
Yep.
You're up here tomorrow during the day?
Yeah.
Normal shift? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll probably see you tomorrow sometime. I'll stop up. and see.
All right,
Great, thank you, Charlotte.
thanks.
Okay, so, let's see. Let's go back to our regular scheduled program, and that would be the road foreman's report. And the road foreman's not here, but
Thanks, Charlotte.
Bye, thank you.
he was suggesting that we had an opportunity to extend a mowing contract. I think this is it, yeah. For another 2 years. And this would be with Castine, Brett Castine, Castine Property Services. And the one, at the same price that we've been using for the past 5 years, which is $5,370.
And has Lee been happy with them?
Yes, I think so. I think the cemetery committee has been happy. Yeah, you're in the biz, you think they do? Yeah, okay. So they do want, because the Taft Cemetery has been enlarged, they wanted an extra $300 a year.
It's $350.
Okay, $350 a year to take care of that new section.
And they mow that one 10 times?
Yes.
Yes.
I think a pretty
Pretty
good
good.
deal.
You know, of course, I used to mow a place about that size for 25 cents an hour, but I think I was underpaid and.
You were underage also,
That's
probably.
true, that's true. And he does have workers' comp, so that's an issue before, so.
But that'll just go for when we do the budget, right?
Yes, we would approve it now, because the contract is ending soon, so we could extend it now.
Okay.
And then we'd have this number for our budget.
So his contract expires in the fall?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's a calendar year, like so.
Okay. So same, are we voting on just extending it, or are we voting on the dollar amount plus
We're-
350?
Yeah, we're voting, we would vote to extend this contract for another 2 years. with the understanding that it will be $350 more per year for the Taft Cemetery.
Okay. And his first name's Brett, right?
Yep.
So do we need a motion to do that?
Yes.
So I'll make a motion that we extend Brett Castine's contract for an additional 2 years. And I don't think we need to have money in that motion yet, right?
Right. I don't think so.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right. That's good. All right. Do you have any other road business?
No road business, nope.
Okay. Under correspondence for information, we had added the sheriff's report, DRB hearings. Anything there you want to discuss? There was also, this got sent to an email that didn't get to me, and Lori gave it to me today. This is VTrans would like to have a meeting or 2 different meetings for the corridor management plan for Route 30, and it seeks to balance ideas for transportation improvements with anticipated land use and development challenges. It's designed to improve coordination between projects, between the different transportation bureaus, and is looking at opportunities to leverage programmed projects and activities that will address other needs identified through the planning process. So,
Well, I didn't RSVP, but I'll try to sneak in there.
okay,
I think it's in my backyard.
it is being held at the community center.
Roll down the hill.
I'll try to go in.
Yeah,
and
that'd be
listen.
great, yeah. Can I see it?
From 1 to 2:30. So, great, thank you.
I'll leave my
Did you
phone.
get that?
Just this afternoon.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if they're going to ask any questions, but do you
I don't know if we
quickly I mean, the other thing I'll ask is that that rec area up by
Yeah.
Rock River on Route 30, just to see what. And actually, the one down by on Route 30, just north of the Dummerston town line, got to be kind of a mess this summer too. So if they ask questions, Dio's hole, the swimming hole.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people had to, you saw they had to put up signs in their yard so people wouldn't park. And
Right, right.
The one thing that always, for me on Route 30 that's challenging is anytime I'm going north and I want to turn left on Stickney Brook or left on West Street, so I'm crossing the southbound lane and I have to stop, the cars, like it always makes me really nervous because people, like they don't slow down and they just want to. So I mean, I don't know what to do about that. I'm very happy for the shoulder, but like I'll zip in front of somebody that's coming toward me before I'll sit in that northbound lane.
I don't like to be sitting.
No.
No, I don't like that
So
either.
I don't know. The other thing is I commute into town on my bicycle, and so again I appreciate that shoulder, but when they do work on Route 30, they don't keep in mind bicycles. They'll put their signs, like they'll fill up the whole shoulder, which pushes me out into the line of traffic. And there is enough room for both the sign and a bicycle if they're conscious of that. So, I don't know, those are the 2 things that come to my mind in terms of Route 30.
Yeah, it's becoming a very busy road. No doubt about it.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
and certain times of the week and certain times of the year,
Yep.
ski season,
Yeah.
going north
Right, right.
on Fridays and south on Sundays.
Yeah.
And then throw a moose in the river. And
Oh yeah,
Oh.
whoa, all hell breaks loose.
And then it's a parking lot.
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, let's see. Okay, so under correspondence for discussion and/or action, we had a letter from Charles Fish regarding the Historical Society. They have found some problems with this building that's going to take some more money, and they were wondering, did we have any ideas? I think.
Or money?
Or money, I think that was, they were wondering if we had any money, and let me just check, but I don't think we have any right here. They're going to do a campaign, but...
Are they a 501
C3, I think so.
I'm not sure of that.
Historical Society? I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
I would think so.
We could find out.
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought, because if they're not, can we do the same thing we did before? If they're doing their campaign, could people give money to the town and earmark it for them, and then it's tax-free? All right,
Okay.
I think that might not matter as much. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, I'll just ask so we know for sure.
Okay. And was there an amount, Zeke? you wanted to
Yes,
mention?
they're trying to raise 25,000.
Okay.
So, you know, they can always petition to get on the
An article.
town meeting for me.
Yeah. But that might be a good suggestion, because that way it's, we'll work our budget and try to, I hope, try to keep it as close to this year as we can. But that's an opportunity for people to have more of a general vote as opposed to just embedding it inside the budget. If they did an article, a separate article, just a thought.
Right, right. And in his letter, he points out it's a resource for the town and the historic nature of the building, and that this is important work that needs to be done to the building. And so if anyone listening, just getting the word out, it would be good, helpful also, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't say on their website that they are a 501c3. It says donations, tax deductible donations are always grateful.
All right, well.
But, so maybe they are,
Yeah.
but it doesn't indicate it.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll keep that on our radar. We received Rachel Glickman's letter of resignation that took effect on the 21st. And letters of resignation by elected officials require no vote to accept, or so that's a done deal. We have posted that the opening is there for someone to be appointed and serve until the next town meeting. And we've received a couple letters of interest. So, and our plan is to continue to take letters of interest, and we'll make a decision. I think it's on November 7th is what we said. So.
And just a note, I'll just say, just for the people if they're watching this, like I had a couple of inquiries. The reason that she resigned was just it was a change in residency.
Yeah.
She just moved out of the town of Dummerston, so by statute she wasn't able to serve in the Dummerston Selectboard any longer.
Right, right, yes, so,
We enjoyed her company, and I think she enjoyed ours.
well, I hope so, yes. I certainly enjoyed hers, and so to all our viewers in Townsend and Newfane, and I'm sorry, but you need to be a resident of Dummerston to be considered for this. So, moving on, if you're ready to move on. So, under new business, we have health insurance rates and plans for 2019. We don't really have those in, but this is the time of year when we start to get those rates, and sometimes new plans, and sometimes there'll be presentations. And so
We've got all the rates in our office, so
Okay. Yeah,
they're
so
out.
it should
And
be-
so is that something we'd ask Pam for, to come to a meeting and present that to
I
us?
think she's away right now.
I think we have to make a decision by the end of November.
Yeah, so don't know, I'm just watching the mailbox, and we should get information from our current health provider. And, you know, so,
Should we ping Pam though and let her know that we're,
yeah, I think I'll find out, but I think she's actually away. But I could maybe
Well-
contact MVP and see what's.
but I
going
mean,
on.
just 'cause Pam's away, is she not checking email?
I think she's maybe on vacation, and some people, you know.
Don't
just-
check their email on vacation?
You-
Not a chance.
I'll look into it. I'll look into it, see if I can reach her. It might mean that I actually have to go wherever, you know. I think maybe she's in Italy or
So when would we hope to, I mean,
soon.
Mhm.
I was thinking, you know, we
7th and the
met on
21st.
Friday to set the agenda, and I was thinking, gee, we might have something by now, actually.
but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, even when we get something from MVP, don't we want Pam's input and her,
Sure.
okay. And so would that be at the meeting on November 7th that we'd like to look at that?
I don't know if she's going to be here.
Well, let's find out.
Yes.
Would you like me to find out?
No, I'll be happy to do this.
Okay.
And let's see. And I've asked some of our employees who are on the MVP. I've asked informally
Oh, good.
how's it doing for them, and they've had no complaints.
Okay.
It's the people that I've spoken with. One employee is still on his parents' health insurance, so he would not be taking this. But in the past, we've offered payment in lieu of insurance to help, you know, with you know, the premiums that.
And
Parents
and
would
Lori, did you ask Lori?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Great.
Okay, I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything. And okay, so at long last, our contract with the Windham County Humane Society. So they did make a change. You know, we were, you know, our pens were poised above the dotted line to sign this when a guest at our meeting, who was a lawyer, suggested we have a lawyer, you know, review this contract, and we sent it to VLCT, and they suggested a couple changes. You know, one minor change, and then one, you know, change that would have added 3 pages and was considered even by them to be not essential, but you know how lawyers are. So this one is, I think, addresses, you know, all the main issue that was brought up, and it's pretty much what's used throughout the county, and it's, you know, it's revised a little bit each year and tried to be a little more user-friendly. It used to be that animals had to be brought in by the animal control officers, but now residents, if they find a stray, they can, you know, bring it to the Windham County Humane Society themselves and drop it off. The fee is the same as last year for services. It's $466 to service the impoundment facility for the town. So.
Well, I would move that we sign the contract for animal holding for Windham County Humane Society.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
Did you see anything in it that raised flags for you?
No.
Just you need to be careful when you're on their property because they're not responsible for you.
Yeah. Right.
Don't get hurt.
I am. Yeah. All right. Any other discussion? So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Sign this, it's just town agent. I'll sign that and send them the copy.
It's good to have the dog catcher sign it. I think that's perfectly
I'll
appropriate.
just use my, just use my paw print. Send that on, that will, I'll just, yes, I'll use my paw print, I wasn't. All right, well, while we're burning right through our agenda here, next on our agenda is any possible gravel pit updates?
Yes, but it all came in right as I was coming up here this evening. So just, I need to look at this a little bit more, but the Stevens Associates did turn in some numbers. I've got to look at these a little closer, but roughly the material left in the gravel pit right now, they're coming up with 794,000 cubic yards of material, so plus or minus 15%. So that's a lot of material, which would go out. I haven't had time to look at the number of years, but I think when we were at 20 years, we were, 100 years would have been like towards a million cubic yards, or just under the 100-year threshold. But however, we need to look at this a little bit more to see just how far out it would push. But 794,000 yards, that's only in the southern side of the pit. It doesn't count material that has not, which really is just ledge left on the northern side of the pit. So, and that also, so that it's 100,000 yards of gravel, 200,000 yards of sand, 400,000 yards of ledge, 90,000 yards of currently stockpiled material. That's down in that would go with the sale. And then approximately 200,000 yards of ledge in the north side of the pit. So I guess you can call it 994,000 total yards.
And so those numbers are looking good to you in
Right.
terms of the amount.
That's
That's
far
not a
as-
surprise. It's
Right,
Yeah.
the material there, yeah,
Good.
there's a lot of material left. And again, a lot of it's ledge, which, that's going to be blasted and crushed over time, but that's kind of in the out years doing that. The attorneys, what do we have from those? So the Dummerston and Putney attorneys are still they're still working through the intermunicipal agreement. I think all their contact with VLTC at this point, just talking about how this might play out, seems positive. So the whole, as far as just the intermunicipal agreement that we have between Dummerston and Putney, it's just a matter of now formalizing the language. They've done some research, and there's basis for the legal agreement between the two towns, as long as there's no profit intended to be made, which we're not looking at any profit. Bob is still, that letter of intent that we looked at a while ago has nothing more on that since it went over to Chris Dugan. So he's still working to get back in touch with him. I think they've all just, they've had a lot of projects going on right now. But now that the agreement, they've kind of done the background research. I know Bob and Larry, who's Putney's attorney, are going to figure out how they're going to work together to get this verbiage in place. That's it.
Okay, great.
moving right along.
Okay, let's see, that ledge, the blasting, if the towns owned it, the blasting wouldn't be done every year, it would be,
No, and really, we probably wouldn't have to do it. I couldn't, so, no. When I did that initial spreadsheet, I made a dollar amount for every 5 years, and that would just be a blast, you know, kind of not a large amount, but it would be between us and Putney if we, you know, figured out when that budget would go. And that's really just to exercise the permits, make sure we're doing, you know, we're continuing and not lose any kind of knowledge on how to, you know, 20 years from now try to figure out, you know, dust everything off and figure it. So it would just be blasting certain amounts and then crushing it, whether it's for ditch stone or riprap or things like that. That
Yeah. Not in every
year.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Great.
You know, and then in this, you know, that one side of the north section, I don't know if we've all been down there, but that's the base of it right now. I mean, but you know, years down the road, if you wanted to try to seek additional permits, I think for every 3 feet you go down deeper is an additional over 500,000 yards of material that you could pull out of that thing. If you, and that's good gravel, you know, underneath that too. So, but those numbers were just based on the current permits.
Okay. The current level that
Yes.
it is right now. Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's see. We've done our school playing fields, and we'll look for more information to come our way. So budget work sessions and our November schedule. What do you? We've asked that committees and town officials get us their budgets by the beginning of November. We'll start putting them in place. The health insurance, you know, that'll come in. And I guess you know, we're going to be meeting the 7th, we're going to be meeting the 14th, we're supposed to meet the 21st. Do we initially want to, I don't know if we want to get going, you know, sometimes we take some time at the end of each meeting to work on the budget to get going. And then we usually schedule to work full-time on the budget on the off Wednesdays, which would be, you know, the only one that we're not scheduled to meet on in November would be the 28th. So you want to tentatively pencil the 28th in for a budget work session. And as we get information and can get going on this, then maybe we take portions of our regular meetings to get going on the budget. Okay.
Are you saying that then in December we wouldn't be meeting every week?
Oh, no, I think in December we would.
Okay.
Yeah, then we go full-time.
But so our first budget work session is on the 28th of November?
Yes, I'm saying that we'll probably begin working on the budget before then, but it'll be part of the meetings that we already have scheduled.
Got it. Okay, I'm with you now. Okay.
The 28th would be no other business, just budget.
Okay.
But hopefully we will have gotten going already.
Okay.
So.
And we all agreed that we can meet on the 21st, which is the Thanksgiving week.
Yes.
No, that wasn't a problem for anybody.
It's not a problem for me.
Okay.
Looks like we'll have a quorum, yeah. So we'll go ahead on the 21st.
And hopefully we'll have a 5th person by then.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Okay. So upcoming agendas, our regular meeting will be next regular meeting will be November 7th. And we'll have informational meeting to discuss the information that we have for the special town meeting that would be to vote on whether the town should use some surplus funds from the highway department to pay for an audit. So we'll have whatever information we have, then we'll discuss that.
And that's what the informational meeting is on the 7th,
Yes.
to discuss that.
And you know, we'll have our regular meeting also, but
Right.
we'll break at 7 o'clock to have that informational meeting. Special town meeting on November 14th at 7 p.m. Downstairs in the Congregational Church here, and that will be a meeting to vote on this proposed audit. So,
And so the meeting on the 7th, that informational meeting is here
yes.
at the town office.
Yes.
On that special town meeting, we're going to do the homework on it, but we're going to present one of those two.
Yes.
We're not going to present
Right.
both.
No.
We're going to present one of those two options.
That's,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
We will have Charlotte and us, the rest of us will look through the information, dig, and we'll choose one.
On the 7th, in our regular meeting.
That's what I would hope to be able to do.
Yeah.
And then that way we can have, you know, a figure to
Mhm.
take to the special town meeting,
Mhm.
so people can vote up or down.
Good.
So we skipped around a bit, but I think we checked off all of the boxes here.
I think you did. Yep.
I'm going to confirm, I'm going to track Pam McFadden down. That poor woman.
She's going to watch
You were
this.
so
and then
vague.
she
I
would,
just
like, go dark. She's not going to want to be found.
just wanted to know if she was going to be involved in that.
And I'll check with Chuck Fish, although it sounds like the Historical Society is 501c3.
Yeah, it does.
I'll just confirm that. I'll track him down too. All right.
Good.
All right.
I'll move we adjourn the select board meeting.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Yeah.
Right.